Hello and welcome to Echoes of Elgin, timeless tales from the Elgin History Museum. I'm Rebecca Miller, museum educator at the Elgin History Museum, and your guide through Elgin's storied past. In each episode, we bring you captivating tales from our city's rich history, exploring the events, people, and places that have made Elgin what it is today. Whether you're a longtime resident, a history enthusiast, or just curious about local lore, this podcast is for you. This echo reaches us from August 26, 2002, when noted historian E.C. Mike Alft invites us to revisit the unusual happenings at Our Lord's Park. Back in 1892, when George P. and Mary E.C. Lord donated the site for the city park that bears their names, they probably didn't foresee these events that occurred within its borders and adjacent areas. As early as 1894, the Weekly Advocate stressed that the frequenting of Lord's Park by people for immoral purposes will not be tolerated. The cool, shady nooks of the park were said to invite that sort of thing. The next year, one outraged resident insisted, I have no doubt, that if the park policeman would tell all that he has seen on the part of men and women who pass as respectable, and the men include some of our businessmen, it would be an eye-opener. In 1901, Parkside Place was a two-story resort just north of the park. A dance hall was on the first floor and a parlor and dining room on the second. On the afternoon of December 23rd, it caught fire. Dozens of boys who'd been skating on the lagoon threw repeated volleys of snowballs at the building in an attempt to extinguish the blaze. Despite their efforts, Parkside Place was leveled. In 1904, Oak Glen, the successor to Parkside, had an unsavory reputation. An editorial in The Advocate expressed horror and indignation at what was occurring there. Quote, look at it. Boys and young men in various stages of intoxication, rough handling of young girls whom they had enticed from home and tempted to ruin by boys urged to drink whiskey with which the hoodlums were provided. George P. Lord had enough of this. The next year he purchased the 16 acres that included Glen Oak and added it to the park. In 1907, the Lords donated the park site on the condition that, quote, the city shall never through all coming time permit the sale or giving away of intoxicating liquor in any portion of the park. Of course, some persons were intoxicated before they entered the park. One of them was Elgin's mayor, Arwin E. Price, who took charge of the soft drink stand at a community benefit for the park custodian. He refused to give customers their change and hurled empty pop bottles at a young man who passed by without buying anything. A crowd formed, taunted the disheveled mayor, and threw lemons, Cracker Jack boxes, and other missiles at him. Price was finally escorted to a room in the pavilion. The next day, the Corporation Council assured the citizens of Elgin that the mayor, when he was sober, was one of nature's noblemen. In 1908, Arnold Lutgert, age 45, a former Elgin merchant, stood on the island in the South Lagoon. To attract a crowd, he fired 3 shots into the air with a .38 caliber revolver. After a number of people hurried to the scene, Lutgert sent a 4th bullet crashing into his head. He died in a police patrol wagon on his way to St. Joseph's Hospital. In 1920, on a cold afternoon in September, a major league team, the St. Louis Cardinals, played an exhibition game with a local American Legion team and beat them 14-0. The Cardinals' star player and future Hall of Famer, Rogers Hornsby, had 3 hits, 3 more than the entire Elgin team. By 1923, marriages in Lord's Park were not unusual. The first one took place in the pavilion in January of 1901. Some weddings were performed based on which county had issued the couple their license, due to the fact that the park lies in both Cook and Kane counties. In 1903, a couple arranged for a wedding in the park. Since they had a Kane County license, the service was conducted in the western portion. A Chicago couple in 1923 planned to be married in an Elgin church, but they had a Cook County license. They settled for a ceremony at the edge of the lagoon, and the birds in the trees were among those in attendance. In 1938, a lively controversy erupted over the zoo's snake pit because the rattlers had to be fed live gophers and mice, a sight that fascinated children but disgusted some adults. Upwards of 100 citizens signed a petition asking for an end to the exhibit. But there were 300 signatures on another petition urging its continuance for, quote, educational reasons. The city's commissioner for parks ruled that the snakes could remain, with restrictions on their feeding times. The snakes were removed in 1941 after more protests. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Elgin's history. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a review wherever you listen. For more fascinating stories and updates, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit our website at www.elginhistory.org. Thank you for listening, and remember, history lives on in the echoes of Elgin.